Oh.
Welcome to the Emoyeni Airfield, KwaZulu-Natal for the SACab Paramotor Boogie, South Africa's largest paramotor event, hosting at least 55 entrants. Plenty of locals and familiar faces, a couple new and even some from as far out as Russia will join us for this awesome event. Stephen Makara, the task director at this year's Boogie, fills the pilots in on how the events will be managed and the safety guidelines for the next couple of days. While the officials confer amongst themselves, finalizing plans and details for the day, the pilots pack out and test their equipment as it's almost time for the first task to get underway. The first event of the day is the Slalom and ML Challenge. Taking off is South Africa's paramotor champion, Tony Gibson. Tony Gibson enters the course to flawlessly complete the slalom run, weaving between the allocated markers. He then returns to knock down the once again allocated markers with absolute precision. And finally, to complete the task, he flies by and has to drop a beanbag as near to the target on the ground as possible. Tony Gibson did well, but these three tasks aren't as easy as he makes it look. As another competitor takes to the sky, we take another look at how not to complete the slalom course. No worries, all is well, just a bit of damaged pride and an equally damaged rotor. The rest of the competitors filed through one by one, trying to emulate Tony Gibson's initial flawless run. Marshals confer, checking whose bag is whose and making sure they allocate the correct amount of points to the right contestant.
Okay, while they're counting the bomb drop here, we decided to shut the task down because if you have a look up at the banner on the top of the hanger and at the windsock, the wind has freshened considerably. And what it's done is it's putting us on the leeward side of the hanger, and therefore a lot of rotor and turbulence right here in the task area, and it led to a dangerous environment. So we shut the task down, and this can add to a person's skill or judgment on the task, whereby those who went early knew the wind would freshen in the afternoon, they got the task out the way, they put points on the board, and that's how it's all supposed to work. If you left it till later, sorry for you.
All the pilots that are currently in the air are signaled to return as the weather is no longer suitable for competing or the competitor's safety. Tony Gibson manages to take the most points with that flawless initial run of his in the slalom event. The airmail competition was closely contended, with 5 of the pilots gaining an equal number of points, with the rest not far behind. Day 2 of the SACab Paramotor Boogie. As a stiff breeze picks up, the pilots ready themselves for today's competition.
We're flying a navigational task. Basically, we've got a few beacons that we need to round, and then we'll have points that we have to identify on the ground. And then obviously it's according to your time that you've said you're going to fly ahead of time, and then identifying certain tasks. Recording the times as they take off so that we can note the times as they get back.
You can see from the aerial footage how the pilots are spread out along the route. With all the tasks, the pilots choose when they are ready to take off. This brings a tactical element into the sport, choosing the best flight window according to the weather. But if left too late, the pilot risks the chance of not getting to start or complete the task due to bad weather, thus losing valuable point-making opportunities.
I'm allowed to swear on that thing.
Now for a little insight into paramotor equipment with Davy Root.
The current South African paramotor champion, Tony Gibson. Tony, tell us about this sport. First of all, where do you sit in this?
Well, Davy, you've got to sit in a harness. A little different to the skydiving type of harness. We sit in a seat. Let me show you. We have a harness made of Cadera and webbing with some foam padding and stuff in, and this is actually the business end. This is where you sit and do all your work. So you'd be clipping in with your leg straps, which is your most important part of the actual thing, the paramotor, because if you don't put your leg straps on, as you take off, you'll fall out the bottom. Then after that, you've got your chest strap, which is this over here. It's just to stop you from falling out forward. And it's also nice to be able to clip a radio or something onto it when you're flying, instead of having to worry about it.
But you must feel pretty naked up there with only 2 straps holding you up.
Well, you've got a third one, but it's just a little one.
Okay, and these are your shoulder straps as well? They are important
correct.
as well?
That's where your arms go through. You'll put the whole thing on like a rucksack, and you carry this whole backpack machine like that.
And where do you attach the wing onto?
Okay, the wing comes onto your carabiners. So that's your attachment point on either side of the shoulder straps. Different ones have different types. You'll see there's some overhanging sort of J bars, as we call them. These are underarm J bars. Then you get others that are weight shift, which is the bars actually can freely move, and that gives you better steering and stuff like that. But that's more for, I would say, more advanced pilots. Junior pilots do it as well, but it can get a bit uncomfortable in rougher conditions.
Okay, but if you take off, your legs are your landing gear and your takeoff gear.
Absolutely.
How do you get into the seat?
Well, it's sometimes a little bit of wriggling, moving, lift your legs up as high as you can, use your hand maybe if you need to get in.
The competitors keep busy indoors, hoping for an improvement in the weather.
This is Eugene. Unfortunately, Eugene had a bit of an incident with a pull start rope that came loose, and the actual handle of the pull start on final approach, after he'd done his task, ended up going through his propeller. Tell us about it, Eugene.
Well,
It was a nice, fun trip coming out here, nice and bumpy. And I was just going to drop the beanie on the final task when I just heard a loud noise behind me. Switched my engine off and just landed, and then I discovered my whole prop was missing, as well as my pull start. So unless I can find a new prop, that's the end of the competition.
That's not the vibration from an unbalanced prop can actually rip that whole motor off of your back. So it's part of your training. You've got to learn these things. If you hear funny noises, you cancel your flight.
With the forecast for the day still looking bleak, it looks like the pilots might have to wait till tomorrow before returning to the sky.
The oil that we use is full synthetic oil, and Castrol's been really kind enough to sponsor us with the oil for every paramotor during the competition. And then Nampak have generously sponsored all the actual fuel containers. During the task, we actually have to drop little beanbags that we have to then use like where our spot landing is. It's a target area. Right here in the op center, we have Keith busy doing the scores. This is now the hard part of this stuff. And because he's part of the organizing committee and unfortunately not flying this year, he's been roped into getting all the scores sorted out so that we can at least stay up to date and everybody else out there.
Okay, it's day 3 of the SACab Paramotor Boogie here close to Durban at Mboweni, and today's first task is to first of all fly out to over that hill over there. There's a landing strip. You have to land there and go and sign that you've actually landed, take off again, and from there on you have to fly all the way in that direction somewhere there. I don't know exactly where, but somewhere there apparently there's another landing strip. You have to land, get down there, sign another book, and from there on take off again, and that's quite hectic sometimes. Take off again, come back all the way to the home base and do a spot landing. There's a circle over there and we have to land in the middle of that circle as close as possible, and the closer you get to the middle of the circle, the better your points. But the whole idea of this whole exercise is to go out, see if you can do everything independently, land, go and sign a book, get back into your gear, fly all the way to the second one, the same sort of draw, come back to the home base, well that's if you can find it, and land in the middle of the circle.
Andre Maynard from SACab returning from his third solo flight.
100% fear. 'n bietjie turbulent so. Ja, ek gaan op die golf, maar alles is baie glad. Maar 'n paar goedjies soos die reën wat aankom as ek goed maak, maar 'n bietjie skrikkerig.
At the moment we can't fly due to oncoming rain, so the task has been postponed for about 30 minutes. We'll see what happens a bit later, whether it's going to actually take place or whether we'll move on to the next afternoon task.
While the pilots patiently wait out the weather, let's chat to Davy Root.
Okay, Tony, this is the noisy end of the whole contraption here. Of course, you can see the propeller and the engine, but explain to us more, what's the size of the propeller or the size of the engine, and how much fuel can you take along, and how big is the fuel tank and all that?
Okay, Davy. The way that the propellers work is that